Nearly half of adults are running on a magnesium budget that doesn't cover basic daily needs. And after 60, your brain often pays the price first. Data indicates that about 48% of Americans consume less magnesium from food and beverages than their estimated average requirement, and older men are among those most likely to come up short. If you're noticing more, where did I put that? Moments, lighter sleep, a shorter fuse, more cramps, or that drained feeling that coffee can't fix, it's easy to blame aging and move on. But I want you to consider a hidden culprit that doesn't get enough attention. Magnesium quietly slipping too low at exactly the stage of life when your nervous system needs it to stay steady, resilient, and sharp. In this video, we're going to walk through a clear, practical plan step by step so you can protect your brain, support memory and mood, sleep deeper, and keep your independence stronger for longer. We'll cover what magnesium actually does in the aging brain, why deficiency becomes more common after 60, and the simple fixes that make the biggest difference. You'll leave with a short list of foods to prioritize, common magnesium thieves to watch for, and a smart way to supplement if it makes sense for you. Before we dive in, take a second to subscribe if you want evidence-based senior health guidance that often gets skipped in a rushed doctor's visit. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from today? I love seeing how far this community reaches, and it helps me tailor future videos for what you're dealing with. Now, let's get into the good stuff, one powerful step at a time. Number one, the silent shortage. Magnesium intake drops while your body's demand rises. This is the foundation, and it's the reason the rest of our plan matters. Magnesium is involved in hundreds of enzyme reactions, energy production, nerve signaling, blood vessel tone, and the electrical stability of cells. Yet intake often falls after 60 because appetite changes, chewing issues, limited budgets, less cooking, and the soft foods trap where people rely on refined grains and processed meals that are low in minerals. Reports highlight that nearly half of people fall below the estimated average requirement from food and beverages, and that older adults are especially vulnerable to low intake. Imagine your brain like a well-run neighborhood. Magnesium is part of the electrical grid and maintenance crew. When it's short-staffed, you don't get a dramatic blackout at first. You get flickers, fatigue, irritability, poor sleep, and slower thinking. Your actionable takeaway is simple and immediate. Make magnesium automatic every day. Pick 2 magnesium-rich staples you genuinely like and can afford: pumpkin seeds, almonds, cashews, spinach, beans, lentils, and whole grains, and build them into your normal routine. Not a perfect diet, just a consistent one. If cooking is hard, even a handful of nuts, a cup of beans, or a bag of frozen spinach added to soup is a win. Number 2, the brain stabilizer. Magnesium helps keep your neurons from running too hot. Here's the mentor version of the science. Your brain runs on controlled electrical signals. Magnesium helps regulate key receptors involved in learning and memory, especially the NMDA receptor system. So signals remain strong but not chaotic. When magnesium is too low, neurons can become more excitable, and that can translate into poor sleep, anxiety, and cognitive strain. And the aging brain is already working harder to maintain balance. Real-world data supports that magnesium status matters. Research examining plasma magnesium and future dementia risk found that both low and high plasma magnesium concentrations were associated with increased risk, reinforcing that the brain seems to do best in a healthy middle range. Picture magnesium as the calm hand on your shoulder. When your nervous system starts to spiral without it, the smallest stressor can feel louder. Your actionable takeaway: don't chase extremes. Aim for steady adequacy. That means prioritizing food first. And if you supplement, avoid mega doses unless a clinician is monitoring labs, especially if you have kidney issues. Number 3, memory protection is not just about plaques. Magnesium may influence mild cognitive impairment risk through multiple pathways. Many people think brain aging is only about Alzheimer's, plaques, and tangles. In reality, your brain also ages through blood flow, metabolic health, inflammation, and synaptic plasticity, how well brain cells adapt and form new connections. Magnesium touches all of these, One observational finding from long-term studies of cognitively healthy older adults is striking. Dietary magnesium intake above 400 mg day was associated with a significantly reduced risk of developing mild cognitive impairment in men, though the effect was not the same in women in that report. That's not a promise, and it's not proof of cause and effect, but it is a powerful signal that magnesium intake and brain outcomes move together in meaningful ways. Imagine two versions of you 10 years from now. One whose diet consistently supplies what brain cells need to repair, signal, and adapt, and another whose brain is constantly compensating for shortages. Your actionable takeaway: treat magnesium like brain insurance. You pay monthly through diet. A practical target many people can hit is one magnesium-rich food at each meal, beans at lunch, leafy greens at dinner, nuts or seeds as a snack. Number 4, the sleep and cleanup connection. Magnesium helps you sleep, and sleep is when your brain takes out the trash. This is where I lean in, because sleep after 60 is often fragile, and the brain depends on sleep for memory consolidation and metabolic cleanup. Magnesium supports relaxation by influencing neurotransmitters and the nervous system's brake pedal. And we have data specifically in older adults. Reviews of controlled trials found that magnesium supplementation reduced the time it takes to fall asleep by about 17 minutes compared with placebo. 17 minutes may not sound dramatic on paper, but if you've ever stared at the ceiling for an hour, you know that shaving even 15-20 minutes off that struggle can change your whole next day. Imagine drifting off without wrestling your own thoughts, waking up feeling like your brain had a chance to reset. Your actionable takeaway: if sleep is your battle, start with food timing and routine. Magnesium-rich dinner options like beans, greens, and whole grains can help. If you supplement for sleep, choose a well-tolerated form and keep the dose reasonable. More is not always better. And if insomnia is severe or persistent, use magnesium as part of a broader plan, not the entire plan. Number 5, mood resilience. Magnesium is not just a mineral. It's a nervous system stabilizer that can measurably shift depression and anxiety symptoms in some people. I want to say this with care and respect. Depression and anxiety after 60 can be tied to isolation, grief, pain, limited mobility, financial stress, and the simple fact that life can feel heavier. Magnesium won't erase that, but it can remove one biological brake on emotional resilience. Clinical trials studying adults with mild to moderate depression symptoms found that 6 weeks of magnesium supplementation produced a clinically significant net improvement in depression scores and anxiety scores. That's not placebo level, and it appeared within 2 weeks in that study. Picture your emotional bandwidth like a phone battery. When magnesium is low, you run out of charge earlier in the day, and every small challenge feels bigger. Your actionable takeaway: if mood has been fragile, it's worth checking magnesium intake as part of your mental health toolkit. Food first, and if supplementing, do it thoughtfully and coordinate with your clinician, especially if you take medications or have kidney disease. If these steps are useful so far, give the video a thumbs up. It tells the algorithm this is worth showing to people who are tired of vague wellness advice and want practical, science-backed steps. Number 6, blood flow is brain function. Magnesium supports the vessels that feed your memory. One of the most overlooked truths in brain aging is that the brain is a high-demand organ and it lives or dies by circulation. Magnesium helps regulate vascular tone and can influence blood pressure modestly, which matters because high blood pressure is a well-known risk factor for stroke and vascular cognitive impairment. In recent meta-analyses, magnesium was associated with a reduction in systolic blood pressure, with estimates around a 2 to 3 point drop attributed to supplementation. 2 or 3 points of systolic blood pressure may sound small, but at a population level and over years, small shifts can reduce strain on blood vessels and microcirculation. Imagine your brain's blood vessels like tiny irrigation lines feeding a garden. Lowering pressure, even slightly, can mean fewer leaks, less damage, and more consistent nourishment over time. Your actionable takeaway: pair magnesium with the blood pressure basics that amplify it, walk after meals when you can, reduce ultra-processed sodium-heavy foods, and prioritize magnesium-rich whole foods. Supplements are not a substitute for blood pressure management, but they can be a helpful support in the right context. Number 7, the sugar brain link. Magnesium is deeply involved in insulin sensitivity, and metabolic health is cognitive health. After 60, blood sugar issues can creep in quietly even before diabetes. Magnesium is a cofactor in glucose metabolism and insulin signaling, and the data here is strong at the population level. Analysis has found that each 100 mg day increase in magnesium intake was associated with about a 16% reduction in type 2 diabetes risk in prospective research. That's a meaningful association because diabetes and insulin resistance are tied to faster brain aging and higher dementia risk through inflammation, vessel damage, and metabolic stress. Imagine insulin resistance like sticky syrup in the engine. Your brain can still run, but it runs hotter and less efficiently. Your actionable takeaway: if you're watching your A1C or fasting glucose, magnesium-rich foods should be on your short list, and they fit beautifully into a blood sugar-friendly plate. Beans, lentils, nuts, seeds, and leafy greens. This is one of those rare two birds, one stone, changes, better metabolic control, and better nervous system support. Number 8, the magnesium thieves. Medications and digestion issues can drain you even if you eat well. This is the point most people have never heard explained clearly. You can do everything right with food and still run low if absorption is impaired or losses are increased. One major example is long-term proton pump inhibitor use, common for reflux. Safety warnings indicate that prolonged PPI use, often longer than 1 year, can cause low magnesium levels, and in about 1/4 of reviewed cases, magnesium supplementation alone didn't fix the problem and the PPI had to be discontinued. That's not meant to scare you. PPIs can be appropriate and very helpful, but it's meant to empower you to monitor what matters. Add other common contributors: chronic diarrhea, malabsorption, heavy alcohol use, uncontrolled diabetes, and certain diuretics. Imagine trying to fill a bathtub with the drain open. You can pour in more water, but you'll still struggle to keep the level up. Your actionable takeaway: if you're on long-term acid blockers or diuretics, or you have chronic gut issues, bring magnesium into the conversation at your next appointment. Ask whether checking a magnesium level is appropriate and discuss whether medication adjustments or targeted supplementation makes sense. This is not about self-diagnosing. It's about not letting a fixable deficiency quietly steal your quality of life. Now, let's put it all together in a way you can actually use tomorrow morning. Here's the simple recap. First, make magnesium consistent rather than complicated because nearly half of adults aren't meeting needs and older adults are at higher risk of low intake. Second, remember, magnesium is a brain stabilizer. It supports healthy signaling and may relate to dementia risk when levels are too low or too high, so we aim for a healthy middle. Third, magnesium-rich diets have been linked to dramatically lower mild cognitive impairment risk in some long-term observations, which is a strong reason to treat food choices as brain protection. Fourth, magnesium can help sleep in older adults, potentially reducing the time it takes to fall asleep by about 17 minutes, which matters because sleep is when your brain restores itself. Fifth, magnesium has evidence for improving depression and anxiety symptoms in controlled research, including clinically meaningful improvements in symptom scores. Sixth, magnesium supports the vascular system, and analysis suggests modest systolic blood pressure improvements, small numbers that can matter over years. Seventh, magnesium intake is tied to better metabolic outcomes, with increased intake associated with a lower risk of type 2 diabetes. And finally, if you're using long-term reflux medications or dealing with absorption issues, remember, sometimes the problem isn't what you eat, it's what your body can hold on to. Let's close this out with the message I want you to carry with you. You are not stuck with whatever your brain or body is doing right now. Aging changes the rules, yes, but it doesn't remove your influence. You can still shape your trajectory with small, steady decisions that compound over time. I know some days you may be managing pain, stiffness, fatigue, or the frustration of feeling slower than you used to be. That's real, but so is this. Your brain is adaptable, your body responds to nourishment, and your future is not decided by one bad lab value or one tough year. What we're doing here is giving your nervous system the raw materials it needs to keep you steady so you can stay independent, clear-headed, and present for the people you love. Now, I want to hear from you. In the comments, tell me the one thing you want magnesium to help most: sleep, memory, cramps, mood, or blood pressure, and tell me what you've already tried. If this video helped you connect the dots in a new way, please like and subscribe, because your health is worth fighting for, and this community is here to do it together. And remember this line the next time you think it's just aging. It's not just aging, it's biology, and biology is something you can work with.